I'm Pat Topolinski. Thanks for watching. We know you never want to miss an episode of Engine Power, so click the subscribe button, and there you go. It's the big subscribe button right there.
This 69 Camaro is a beauty, but it needs a stronger power plant. Hey everybody, welcome to Engine Power. Today we're getting a delivery from the Detroit Muscle guys. Now they've been down working on a project for a sweepstakes giveaway that one of you guys can win.
And Mike and I have been given the task to upgrade this power plant to make it the ultimate cruiser.
Well fellas, we brought y'all a jewel.
This makes me very happy to see something like this in this complete state.
Why does it make you so happy?
Because we rarely get to say that we've ran something as it came out of a car. So with ram's horns on it, that distributor, kind of excited to see what it will make for power, just like it came out of the car.
How did it feel driving the car?
It could have used a tune-up, that kind of deal. Other than that, it just drove like a stock 350.
It needed a driver mod, I can tell you that.
Well, the biggest problem was the squealing from the passenger side.
Oh, man.
No, it had plenty of power, though. I mean, it'll ride out. Yeah, you're going to run it with the carb and the air cleaner?
Yeah, no, run it just like it is, just like, now because it ran on the chassis dyno, it'll be interesting to see the loss from, engine dyno to chassis dyno. You can do that.
We didn't leave the fan on it?
Heck yeah.
All right.
I mean, why wouldn't a guy? I mean, for safety reasons, we're not gonna be standing in the room, so I think it'll be fine.
What kind of power numbers you reckon this thing's gonna make?
Oh man, I don't even know. I don't know what they made stock, and the engines, because they're so easy to change on these cars. I don't know if this is the original engine. It may or may not be the original engine from the car. I mean, a lot of times someone have said, this is a 350 and it's a 305. Just stuff like that all the time. So, I mean, if it made in the 200s, I'd be impressed.
Okay, so let's talk about where we're going with it. We're talking about dyno it the way it is, but what about the changes you guys are gonna make then?
Well, we have a top end for it. We have some spiffy heads, a better intake, electronical injection system. I think we're gonna just modernize the car, make it run a little bit more consistently better and easier to drive. This is a giveaway car, so these people will hopefully just cruise this thing till the wheels fall off, because that's what it's gonna be designed for.
Yeah, perfect. We weren't looking for some kind of big stunt puller. We just wanted something a little more peppy and reliable. Something that
sounds a little better, a little cam, a little chop.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you guys can reuse the factory air cleaner just because it's so nice, like in the end, or do you think it may not be big enough?
It may not be big enough. These are, I'm saying that's your air hole right there. Not that this isn't, we'll dyno it, we'll see what it does. It'll fit what we're gonna be putting on it, okay, but the problem with it is, if it kills too much power, it's just, you're defeating the purpose of putting all these cool parts on it. Regardless of the fact, we are gonna run it just like it is before we tear it apart.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
We'll let y'all get in.
Leave it with you.
Dyno.
I love it. On this casting number right here, it's cleaned off, 393, 2388. I looked that up. That is a 69 only. So this is quite possibly the original engine. Now,
or at least they were smart enough to find one for it.
This car is a real RSSS, so who knows the history of this thing.
We want to monitor the air-fuel ratio, so a hole is drilled in the exhaust pipe and a Holley O2 sensor boss is strapped on. You ready for this?
Light it. Get out of it. It's rich as all get out.
Yeah, real rich.
Now, it wouldn't have anything to do with that air cleaner on there looking like it's about the size of a quarter on the entry.
Well, it is about the size of a quarter. I wouldn't even get it silver dollar status.
Well, I mean,
because of how rich it was and how it ran on the dyno, go pull the air cleaner off.
Right. Choppy.
Yeah, a little bit, but still way better. And 3 points higher, 3.5 points higher in air fuel. 243 on power, 311 pound-feet. 3,400.
It doesn't seem to be running as good as it ran when they brought it in. You notice
Now,
that?
they did go and beat the fire out of it after they chassis dynoed it.
I think they did, but
And it's got quite a bit of blow by now.
because it made some clean pulls on the chassis dyno.
227 to I think 231 power.
I can't remember what it was. I think it's around, yeah, somewhere in there.
Let's make another
Hey,
hit.
make another one.
Same setup, same step,
It's
everything.
definitely way leaner.
Yes.
Maybe
Cleaned right up.
Maybe it had some dirt daubers in it or something like that.
Cleaned right up.
There we go.
247 and 311. It likes that 311 number.
Yeah, no, it's steering 250 on power, 311 on torque. Does it have oil pressure?
It's got great oil pressure.
It's got a little bit of blow-by, so we'll have to look at that.
65 pounds of oil pressure at 5,000.
Well, I mean,
It's a starting point.
oh wow, absolutely. The big thing, people buy projects or something like this. This wasn't really a project. This came out of a running car. I think that there's a lot of potential, and we're going to definitely improve it with the parts we're going to put on it.
Now, we talked about not going into the bottom end, but with that blow-by, I think we do.
Yeah. Might have to spiff that up, but we have the tools and we have the technology.
That's right. And the parts.
And the parts. Up next, this tool tells you the truth, even when you don't want to know it.
Plus, big horsepower improvements on the dyno.
Is using racing oil in your daily driver a good idea? Let's find out in today's tech tip.
Not everything made for racing is good for street use, since street engines, even high-performance engines, rarely go above partial throttle. They don't usually push oil temperatures high enough to boil off contaminants that cause wear. That's why motor oil for street-driven vehicles contain detergents and other additives to remove and suspend contaminants. Racing oils are designed to be changed every few races, so they don't need detergents to remove contaminants. Just remember, if you use race oil in your daily driver and you follow the 3,000 mile change interval, that can lead to harmful buildups.
Tearing down a small block Chevy is as simple as things get for a V8. This one leaked and looks like it should have come out of an off-road truck, not a restored muscle car.
Here we go. Iron. There we go.
Got it?
This engine sat for look like a long time.
Yeah.
Now that happens when you have it sitting without coolant in it, and then you put coolant in it. It'll sometimes loosen all that stuff up, and ew. Dang.
Crusty, crusty.
Oh God.
Wow. They weren't leaking.
That's nice. The rest of the parts didn't show any damage, but they did have normal wear. This engine has been on the road for a long time. I tell you, it's not horrible.
40
the block
over.
is already 40 over.
Yeah. Now what's safe on these? Overboard.
60.
60. There you go.
We did happen to find a nice surprise though.
Nice. Oh my goodness. Look at the skirts.
Wow.
Look at that.
Dude, it ran fine.
After a quick wash job and before this block goes to the machine shop, we want to check it out with our Goodson crack detector. Before machining a used block, this procedure is a must. One semi-clean block.
Well, it's clean enough to do what we're doing. Is your wallet out? All your
Wallet's
credit
out,
cards?
phone's out,
This
yes.
this will generate so much Gauss, which initially now I don't think we even have to use this because I think we see a giant problem already before we get started.
There's a decent bulge right here.
There's a bulge. Look at this.
How did that not leak on the dyno?
Okay, I can tell you why. When I drained the antifreeze before I put it on the dyno, when I pulled these two plugs out, they were solid and they were filled with block filler. And block sealer is not uncommon on these because half the time the radiators are plugged or whatever, like or they're leaking and they want to plug them, so they dump all that stuff in. And this was completely covered by oil. This particular one, because it didn't leak, it could probably be repaired. but we are not going to
Yeah,
mess with that.
all around the drain,
all around
both
all around the
sides.
drain plug. Look at that up there.
Yep.
There's one up there too. When one bites the dust, literally, we pull another out of our stash. This is a later model block that has been converted to accept a 2-piece rear main seal. Just like the cracked one, this is a 4-bolt main too. The block has been machined, and since we already have the rotating assembly with pistons, the only thing it needs is to have the bores enlarged 30 thousandths.
To enlarge the bores, we will use our Sun and SV15 hone. A torque plate will be used to mimic a cylinder head torque to the block. This will eliminate bore distortion so the cylinder stays round and true during final assembly.
Coming up, engine upgrades and free-flowing heads breathe new life into the 350.
With the cylinder honing finished, the block got a wash so we could start the assembly process. We checked all the bearing clearances, filed the rings to achieve a 27 thousandths end gap, and verified piston to wall clearance. Half of the 2-piece rear main seal was installed, and now the scat cast crank is ready to go in. The Icon forged pistons are mated up to the scat 5140 I-beam rods and secured with spiral locks. Installing the total seal gapless ring set is a little more involved than a standard ring set. Make sure to follow the instructions for ring orientation and keep the gaps away from each other. With lube on the rings, piston skirts, and bearings, the assemblies can go into the bores.
Here's a look at all of the specs. If you like this build sheet and want it, log on to PowerNationTV.com, go to Engine Power, and it's available for you to download. Now the camshaft can be installed. It's a Comp Cams hydraulic roller straight off the Summit Racing shelf. Duration at 50 thousandths lift is 242 degrees on the intake and 248 degrees on the exhaust. Lobe separation is 110 degrees and lift is 540 thousandths on the intake and 562 thousandths on the hot side.
Linking the crank and camshaft is a double row trick flow timing set.
Every cam that is installed here gets degreed. This one installs at 6 degrees advanced.
We had a Cloyes quick button 2-piece timing cover on the shelf, so it's being used. It has a built-in roller button that is adjustable. A Summit Racing 8-inch Harmonic Balancer is next. Make sure to apply Permatex anti-seize inside its bore before pressing it on. An ARP balancer bolt is torqued to 80 pound-feet.
Setting the MSD timing pointer at true TDC is a must. This one was specifically made for an 8-inch balancer. A Melling high-volume oil pump is mounting up. The pickup is for a pan that we had on the shelf off a different engine. We checked the pickup to pan clearance and it's good. It will fit the Camaro chassis great as well. ARP bolts are securing everything.
After soaking in oil for a little bit of time, the hydraulic roller tie bar lifters from Comp Cams are going in the block's lifter bores. We have Cometic Gaskets with the 27 thousandths compressed thickness resting on the decks. The cylinder heads are trick flow Super 23s with a 195cc intake runner. The exhaust runner volume is 75 cc's and has a D-shaped port. The combustion chamber is 72 cc's and has a 202 intake and a 1/600 exhaust valve. They come as cast, but the extra thick decks and walls give you plenty of material to do extensive porting if you want to.
With the intake gaskets in place, we're laying down this super sweet bead of silicone on the China rails. It's Permatex Right Stuff 1-minute black gasket maker and it works most excellent. The intake manifold for this build is a dual plane street burner from TrickFlow. It has an operating range from 1500 to 6500 RPM and is an open air design. It has rear water outlets and 2 distributor clamp locations. ARP bolts are tightened in a cross pattern to lock it down.
An electric water pump is our go-to for the dyno, not just for power, but also safety.
Comp Cam's push rods are going in. These have an 80 thousandths wall thickness and are 7/100 long. They have a 5/16 ball on each end. Also from Comp are 1.6 roller rockers. These are from their Ultra Pro Magnum line and are a full roller with a chromoly body.
We can't get enough of Holley EFI components. This is the Sniper Stealth 4150 system. It looks like a carburetor, and we ordered this one in a gold finish. It has 4 100-pound-an-hour injectors and is capable of supporting 650 naturally aspirated horsepower or 600 with forced induction. It's self-learning, super simple to install, and even easier to set up.
A locked out MSD distributor will send the spark to the plugs.
ARP has a new tool they developed called the Stud Installation Tool. Now it's designed to be used when the actual head gasket and cylinder head are placed on the engine's deck surface. It was developed to avoid the stud's runout thread from contacting the top of the deck when slightly loaded, causing the stud to sit crooked or angled. The original fix was to back the stud off about a half a turn. Now the tool also helps with having the studs not installed when you put the cylinder head on. There's no aluminum shavings that can fall into the bore or other areas of the engine. This tool works on all types of studs, not just for the cylinder head. Now proper installation of them is a must to achieve the proper torque loads. ARP is always coming up with ways for engine builders and DIY guys to improve assembly and results. Here's a quick look at how it works. It accepts a conventional socket for the nut size you are dealing with. The T-handle slips through the center of the handle to engage the stud. Depending on the stud design, you will bottom it out, or after bottoming out, reverse it a turn. Then simply put a little preload on the nut and you are ready to torque. Log on to arp-bolts.com to find out more. Up next, we add up the numbers in the dyno cell. Oh, look at that graph.
All right, now we got some torque, we got some power. All right, my favorite time of day, dyno day.
Here comes fuel.
Light it. There's always one question on everyone's mind when an engine fires up on the dyno.
What do you think it's gonna make?
You know, conservatively, I think this thing's gonna make in the low to mid 4s relatively easy. We're not trying to swing for the fence on power on this thing. This car has to have drivability. I'd be happy if it made 4 anything. If it makes 4 anything, you know we've already doubled the power.
Yes, oh yeah. The EFI system comes with a handheld monitor where you input all the engine's parameters and do all the tuning. It cannot get any more simple. It will prompt you to start the engine, then let it warm up to 160 degrees. At this point, the system starts learning and dialing in to reach the targeted air-fuel ratio.
30 degrees of timing right now. This is the 25 to 55 at 600 per second just to see where we're at. This is the fact-finding run.
Here we go. Man, not bad first
Yeah,
day.
still learning a little bit.
396 on power, 388 on torque.
Okay, almost 400.
Yep.
Okay.
Torque peaked at 4,800.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Super clean. Oh, look at that graph.
All right, now we got some torque, we got some power.
434 on power, 437 on torque.
What do we make peak torque? That torque is flat.
Yeah, peak torque was at 4,300. And it held 437 for about 400 RPM.
Nice. Okay, now I'm gonna put a little bit of timing to it. This thing flat top 9 to 1. I'm gonna throw like 3 degrees at it.
Sounds good. It should pick up quite a bit.
Sounded good. Of course, they all sound good.
442, 439.
Okay, all right. Now we haven't messed with the fuel at all. We got a target air fuel of like 12.8 or something like that, right? We're not, razoring that down to the, to the umpth degree, just because these are more advantageous when you're tuning on them on the street.
Oh yeah.
Because this thing, we're doing like very specific ranges on the street. You can tailor your cruise air fuel, your wide open, and your idle. So Good. I mean,
we're on a good path right here.
Right.
And you can tell that by the graph.
right. Now, I mean, typically flat top, big chamber like this, what we can try, I'm gonna stab her up to like 36.
All right.
And I know it's a big jump. Pump gas 9 to 1. You know, we got 93 octane in it. That'll tell you if we went too far. You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful. It'll either crest over on torque or not.
We could eke it up like a degree at a time, but on something like this, I want to see that change. You know what I'm saying? And these engines, I feel a lot more confident in doing that.
Yes.
Than if this was a race gas 15 to 1, you know, operation like that. So let me stick some timing in it. I think it picked up a little bit, but
I think it picked up a few.
we're about right there, aren't we?
Yep. 442, 442.
Oh, that's a good round number to stop on, isn't
To
it?
the 10th. 442.3, 442.3.
I like it.
That's cool.
That is sweet. That sounds like a lucky number to stop on right there.
Yep, 5,800 on power and 4,500 on torque.
Okay, see that right there? 1,300 RPMs between peaks. That makes a very nice street engine. The more you can spread out the peak torque to peak power, the better the engine runs over the average.
Yep.
So, nice. For more info on any of the parts you've seen, log on to PowerNationTV.com.